All right, Sistas fans, we're talking Season 3, Episode 17, entitled Burning Taboo. Yet again, an episode I did watch live, and I was live tweeting, and unlike last week, I actually was able to take notes on pretty much the entire episode. Though I wanted to ask the question, and I do believe people on Twitter did confirm my suspicions of this. Now, I watch it live via Dish Network. You know, since I'm not in the apartment, I don't have Xfinity, so I watch it live on my computer through the cable we have here in the house, which is Dish Network. So Friday was running into Sistas territory. It was like at 9:02 when you get to the end of that movie where Smokey's on the phone with Big Worm. And then in the middle of that conversation, we switch over where, you know, the streaming just stopped, because that's the thing about Dish Network. When I'm watching an episode live, that's why I always say, you know what, I'm not able to watch the end credit trailer because the streaming stops and it doesn't come back on until the next show is already on the air. So for some reason, Friday stopped, and then we jumped right to the part of Sistas where Angela's using the phrase taboo in regards to Gary only preferring to have sex when it's, you know, basically behind closed doors in the shadows instead of when it's out in the open. So I'm like, wait, I didn't see the recap. I didn't see the moment Gary jumped up when Angela was going down on him. What the hell happened? But basically, it just seems like that's what happened from the BET front. But if you saw the opening scene on TV, let me know. I had to look it up online, but you know, I didn't miss too much. But regardless, this episode, look, I know people are fed up. I feel like if the information about the Fatima spinoff wasn't out there via myself, and then of course Murphy Multiverse's article, I think a lot of people will be done with the show. Guys, I have seen so many messages, tweets, comments on my content. People are pissed off saying, I'm done with this show. This is so stupid. It's high school. And one thing I will say is that this episode yet again proves how stale the other characters are. Now, personally, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10 because of the fact that the phrase I used in my live stream last night, it was annoyingly entertaining. I think what saved this episode for me was Zach telling Karen's ass off, but the rest of the episode felt stale. Now, remember a couple weeks ago, episode 15, Unknown Caller, I gave it a 0 out of 10, and people were like, man, you need to stop watching the show. You just review the show to bash it and, you know, talk bad about it. If you hate the show, why are you even watching it? And I said in my review, this episode was trash because it only had maybe one or two elements to continue the story. You know, like the Fatima and Andy setup on the phone to make Hayden, you know, reveal that he's been listening to her phone calls. And then the other part was at the very end where Hayden was at the house when Zach went to go see it. Those were the only two elements of the episode that furthered the story, but overall the episode was still a 0 to me. And I said, look, there are several things in this episode which feels like it's a regression of the characters. Robin asked Andy out to dinner because he's leaving tomorrow to go back to London. I still love my fiance. I know we're going through a lot. His crazy ass ex-wife, he's put me through so much, but I still love him. Aaron at the beginning of the episode telling Karen, look, you need to talk to Zach. Until then, I'm gone. And then the list goes on. This episode contradicted so many things that happened in episode 15. And I said in my review, give it 1 to 3 episodes. A bunch of the things that happened in episode 15 will be contradicted, or it just feels like it didn't even happen. Kind of like the whole situation with Zach and Karen in the salon. So really the only reason I'm giving this episode a 7 instead of, like, let's say an 8 or a 9 are mainly the talking points of the episode that contradicted episode 15. So I know that was a lengthy intro, but I needed to set the stage because I know everybody and their mother wants to say the same thing about how they're sick of Karen. But even though that was the majority of the episode and really the only part of the episode that required a lot of note taking, I will be doing a separate video, just like I did last week. I think the video I did was what's wrong with Karen, where I wrote down every piece of dialogue Karen had in the episode just to kind of see what the hell what's going on. I feel like I got to do the same thing for her conversation with Zach and then Danny afterwards. I wrote down most of the conversation, but you know how thorough I like to be. So let me just say, first of all, thank you all so much. The channel is about to hit 189,000 subscribers. We only need like 50 more people, and then we're only 1,000 more from 190,000. The Sistas videos, the Fatima videos, those are the biggest things on the channel. Like I posted in the community tab and online, if you type in Fatima on Google, my videos are the top results when you go to Google in the video section. So I am blessed to see that. Also, the views on the channel have been increasing stupendously. YouTube, you know, when I go to my YouTube studio, it's like, your numbers are looking higher than normal. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, things are looking up. And we should be hitting 40 million views, fingers crossed, by the end of the week. So basically Saturday or Sunday, give or take. So all that's to say, your support does not go unnoticed. It does help in the long run as I journey to making it through the holiday season, tax season, and hopefully the house situation soon. So just trust and believe. I need to get that out of the way first, because that's a positive note, since this episode, oh boy, even though it's a 7 out of 10, I have a lot of negative things to say. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video, since a lot of people have straight up said, look, I've gotten to the point where I just hate watching Sisters. Your reviews are far more entertaining. Trust me, that means a lot. Hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. And if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. So let's get into it. Like I mentioned before, the episode picks up where it left off. Angela tries to, quote unquote, her hands-on therapy approach was pretending to give Gary oral in order to test his limits, boundaries of what makes him feel guilty and what makes him not feel guilty. And, you know, Gary jumps up and I love how he's just standing behind the chair. I don't know if it's to hide his heart on or what, but Angela is just so casual about this, basically saying, you know what, maybe it's the taboo of it, the fact that when Andi was your mistress, you were able to just have sex and, you know, get aroused with no problem at all. But the moment she's your, you know, fiance and you're able to have what you want anytime you want it, you're no longer stimulated by it. So maybe Andi isn't the one for you. Maybe Andi isn't who or what you want, and that's what's making you conflicted now. And I believe that Shaq Mosley is the middleman, basically the person who referred Gary to Angela, or was it the person who referred Angela to Gary? I forgot how that went, but regardless, Gary asked a good question of, you know what, just wondering here, you have this hands-on approach and everything, and how many of your clients actually stayed together after you got involved, like once you became the counselor? This woman is batting 0. Basically every client she's had, that relationship fell apart, and I could definitely see why, because I feel like there's a difference between sex therapy. Wait, isn't that a Robin Thicke song? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I think it's Robin Thicke. It's my body and I know what to want to. What it be? Sex therapy. Yeah, but in any case, Angela is, you know, just determined to say, you know what, no, this is what we need to do. And then in the midst of this, Andi walks in, and obviously she's pissed, and Gary's like, hey, don't worry, she's leaving. So she leaves, and then she's like, hey, Gary, think about what I said. And then, of course, Andi is pissed off, rightfully so. And this is one of the things from episode 15, because one, Gary left. No, actually, or was that episode 14? I forgot. It was the one where he just left, and, you know, she was like, leave your key. And then in the episode 15, it was like, oh, I love my fiance. But I'm like, wait, Andi, you said that it was over. But now it's like, I don't want her in here again. No, I'm sorry. So Andi's just pissed off about it and just leaves because she feels disrespected. While I understand where she's coming from, I think it's been made clear within the show since season 1, Andi doesn't have self-respect for her, you know, respect for herself. This was really made clear in season 2 when she would go crying to Karen about the situation, about, all my friends and everybody else I see, I feel like I'm behind compared to where they are. They're married, they're happy, and yada, yada, yada. And it's like you're settling with Gary because it's like, this is what I deserve for going for married man. And it's like, okay. So she just leaves. And then, of course, her story was with Robin. And okay. Next scene. Karen is done with her client, and I will say at least it looks halfway decent compared to the other one with the short hair. So I was happy for Karen because I'm like, oh, at least she got people, at least she got a couple of clients in there. I'm like, thank goodness. And Pam, she wasn't annoying to me. So she comes up to Karen and asks, like, wait, are you okay? Why are you all shaky? Because at first I'm like, oh, Lord, is this about this meeting with Zach? But no, I mean, that could be part of it. But in this particular scene, it was just due to the fact that she isn't truly showing it, but she's concerned about the whole fact that Isaiah is stealing her her clients. It's like, hey, I put everything I had into this so my clients wouldn't, leave. Look, when there's a better deal, then they're going to stay with Isaiah. Like, if he doesn't like, let's say their first hairdo is amazing and then their second or third is bad, then they'll go back to Karen. But no, if he's offering the same level of quality for a lower price, they will stay with Isaiah. I mean, the only way they would go to Karen, I could see, is if Isaiah is booked for quite a while and they have no choice. So Pam is, what makes you so sure to come back? Faith, I believe, man. Shoot, come on now. So from there, she mentions the fact that, did you, you haven't said anything about the flowers. They're nice. Which begs the question, if Pam didn't bring up the fact that there was a card with the flowers, would Karen have read the card and then called Aaron? So going back to episode 15, and yes, I'm going to continue to bring this up because people were trying to drag me for being hard on the show. At the beginning of that episode, that's when Aaron's like, hey, you know what? You need to talk with Zach, work this out, tell him how you feel, because until you do that, I'm just not, I can't do with this anymore, Karen. So I'm going to back off. You let me know when you talk to him. Yet he sent the flowers a couple episodes ago, and the card said, so I had to talk with God, and the decision is final. You're mine. Call me. What the hell? Look, I hate to say that, the H word in the midst of him mentioning God, but I say it's bullshit. So she gives him a call, and he's like, hey, and then of course, before he can really say anything, Karen's like, look, thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for being, kind and gentle and understanding. I know it's a lot. Well, yeah, I put you through a lot too. First of all, thank you for acknowledging that, Aaron. I will say that, mainly your ex-wife. But he wants dinner tonight at 8. Now, I had forgotten that it was at 7. She was supposed to meet with Zach, but she's like, hey, can you push it back to 8:30? And he's like, okay, sure. Well, I'll see you then. He names the restaurant. I forgot where the hell it was, but they're going to meet up at 8:30 tonight. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is not going to end up well, because regardless of how the conversation goes, who's to say Zach won't be on her mind afterwards? So we go over to the Carlisle, which is the hotel that Robin's staying at. Andy's there drinking in the restaurant. She calls Robin, and he's right at the front desk. He comes over. Look, I'm sorry. I love KJ. I can't stand Andy. Because we all know this shit is a knee-jerk reaction because she's pissed off at Gary. This is all this is. So she comes there with the guise of, oh, I just came to talk business. So you're going to be working at the law firm. Yeah. I told you all this. Yeah, me, a couple partners will be, the bosses over there. And Robin, he just cuts through the bullshit. He knows what this is. So, they both order some drinks, and he makes it clear, look, we're both lawyers, so there's privacy. So anything we say or do, basically what happens at the Carlisle stays at the Carlisle. I feel like that's the easiest way to sum it up. And she does go on to say, you know everything about me, everything going wrong with my fiance. Just drop the word, because if I'm not mistaken, when what was it, the mid-season finale, as soon as Andy took off or got Gary to unlock the ring, Gary was like, look, if I unlock this, then it's over between us. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the episode was called Unlock It. So she keeps using that guise of, oh yeah, my fiance, we're going through a lot and everything I've been through with him. And there was a time where I used to tell my girls everything, but I just stopped because I knew they didn't like him. And that is actually true, because I think as soon as Gary got to stay with Andi and live in her apartment, he said like, hey, look, I know your girls don't like me, so could you just not tell them everything that we go through? And she's like, yeah. And to be honest, that is a good thing for relationships. But at the same time, and this isn't to say men don't need to vent or let out their emotions, but women vent through talking. And, that's something that Andi doesn't do, which is why she seems to be, I don't know, finding weird ways of coping. And in this case, going with another man. But that's not to say she didn't do that with Paris earlier. So, in a way, he volunteers to be the confidant, even though it's like, well, it's hard for me to talk about basically Robin will be her work husband. Yeah, that's it. Robin is her work husband. Like, oh, let me tell you everything that's going wrong at home with my man, but we can have sex together, right? Yeah, that's essentially it. So, from there, he's like, do you want to go upstairs? And she's like, not yet. Let's finish our drinks. So, again, this is just sad. All right, so Danny calls Preston, who's on the farm, and the fact that I heard cows murr, I just love that. I thought that was pretty funny, because this is yet again the first time that we actually see Preston at work. And she wants to see him tonight instead of one more day. He's hesitant to do so because Danny plays these damn games like, I miss you, Preston. Why don't you stay? Like, I haven't seen the full trailer. I did see the end credit promo because somebody sent it to me. And, it looks like Preston will come over, but he leaves that night instead of staying because Danny's so hot and cold. Like, one moment, I want to see you, stay with me. And then, you overstay your welcome. Look, I need space. You need to be gone. He ain't got time for that crap. He working. So he agrees to come over later that night. And as soon as they get off the phone, because she did it like a cutesy way, but it really did sound like Danny's still talking to Preston like he's simple. Oh, you on the farm with the tractors and the cows. It's like, oh, okay. So Danny comes over. It's about 6:50. This woman is shaking. She's like, she looked like she need a hit of some Zach. So she's worried about him being late, and Danny's like, or Karen, are you okay? She said, look, I'm just anxious, and I need for this to be over. And Danny's like, look, I'll go wait in the other room. But then it's like, well, there's no door there, so I'm pretty much going to hear everything. But just go in the other room, Danny. Okay. So she just needs her there for moral support. And I didn't notice this because I tweeted this out. I'm like, look, sorry, the dryer. My sister's doing clothes, dryer went off. So basically, even though it's BET, Danny's so zen right now. She's like Oprah. So why do you need this to be over, Karen? What's going on? What do you want him to say? Why do you need him to say it? So at first, I didn't even notice she had the pen until she handed it to Karen. So when she was on the phone with Preston and when she was talking with Karen, I thought this was just Danny talking. But, well, you could argue the pen just kind of evened her out. And, yeah, so it's interesting that Danny could be a little bit high, yet she's actually making more sense and is easier to understand than Karen is right now. That says a lot. So this is how I knew this shit was going to go south. Not only does Karen want to get a drink, but she wants to hit the pin too. I'm like, I know Zach's going to come over here. Zach is going to tell Karen what she wants to hear, and it's going to fall on deaf ears because while you want Zach to talk to you when he's not angry, you're not even going to be fully sober. Okay, so we go over to the law firm, and Fatima's walking down the hall. She notices Hayden in his office, and she goes to her office. Now, here's the thing. And look, I wrote down how this shit went. because I know I'm going to have to do a separate video because people just like, they want word for word. But look, I appreciate it because you all watch those videos. They go into the thousands of views because of how thorough I am. But I did write down everything here too. So first move, Fatima on her cell phone calls her friend. It's like, girl, did you get my text message? What in okay, here's the situation. We know for a fact Andi suggested to Fatima, stage a phone call on your work phone to confirm whether or not Hayden is listening in. Just say like, you know, oh, Hayden is so this, Hayden so that, Hayden should wear this more. That way, if he shows up to work wearing that outfit exactly as described, we got his ass. So Fatima had texted her friend certain talking points and questions to ask her on the work phone. So she hangs up the cell phone. So her cell phone is done. It's like, it's not recording anything. She shut it off so she can call her friend from her work phone. Now, Hayden is listening in. We actually cut over to him. And her friend's like, hey, how's it going, girl? What you doing? Oh, yeah, you know, it's getting late. I'm about to clock out soon. How are things with Zach? He's all right. And basically, she says everything that was said in the preview. And thank you all for blowing up the video. What was it? Is Fatima showing her full true colors. That video's over 20,000 hits. In that video, I wrote down all the dialogue from the promo. You know, Zach ain't shit. I be filling his head up, you know, gassing him up with his broke ass. I ain't feeling him like that. And then she's like, look, girl, I told you, you ought to get with Hayden. I don't know. He just started acting crazy. What? We went on that one date and then, I don't know. It's like, well, you must have put it on him. No, he put it on me. But I'll never tell his egotistical ass that. But you know what? He needs to dress down a bit more. Because I love it when he wears like the blue jeans, blazer, and an orange shirt. And then from there, you know, they kind of just have a little more chit chat. And she hangs up the phone. And I just love it because of the fact that, you know, again, she brings up the fact about gassing Zach up. Zach ain't nothing. And basically Hayden's the one that she's really feeling. And that's the end of that. So when she gets off the phone, like, oh my God, so Zach isn't going to hear the phone call. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm like, okay, well, when he's standing outside the door, I wonder who he's talking to then. Is it Fatima or somebody else? Okay, so now we go over to Calvin and Sabrina. This scene pretty much just confirmed why these two should not be together. I did like the scene for what it was, but yet again, it just shows that these characters are so boring. So essentially, off screen, Calvin told Sabrina all the various things that Peggy does in the bedroom with him. And Sabrina is kind of like staring off into space. And Calvin's like, yep, there you are judging. No, I'm not judging. I'm trying to process this. And he's like, well, how does this make you feel? Basically, the fact that, you know, he breaks down the difference between sexuality and fetish. So it's like, well, Calvin, what if I can't do those things Peggy does? Well, then you can't do them, Sabrina, and that's fine. Like, if you can't do any of those things, then don't worry about it. Don't try to be Peggy, just be you, because that's good enough for me. And if I never do those things again, fetish-wise, then that's okay. Now, I will praise the scene because of the fact that Sabrina's actually communicating with Calvin. She's not running off after he says this. She's not calling Danny. Well, she will in the preview. She's not calling Danny, talking to Maurice, who obviously would probably get jealous hearing all the things that Calvin does. Basing her opinion and thoughts based on her friend's opinion and thoughts. And then pulling some crazy crap to Calvin, like the whole drug test thing. So from there, yeah, I'll praise Sabrina for that. But to me personally, and this is just based off what I'm saying, look, if Calvin wants Sabrina because, like, if his feelings and, well, he did say love. If his love for Sabrina is more than his sexual fetish, then, you know, he'll be with her. But maybe I misinterpreted, or, you know, my perspective of the scene is quote unquote wrong. But to me, it almost sounds like if Calvin winds up with Sabrina, then it's almost like he's settling sexually because he's used to Frosted Flakes, but Sabrina can only offer the general store brand. Now, some people could argue they taste the same, but they don't. And then on the Sabrina side, I feel like anytime they have sex with her knowing what Calvin and Peggy get down to, she'll probably always feel inadequate. So, in my opinion, I feel like that conversation, not out of disgust or anything like that, but I feel like that talk should have been you know what? I think it's best if we just stay apart. And I would have been okay with that. Not just to get rid of Calvin, but I think it makes the most sense because from this point onward, I feel like there's always going to be that seed of doubt, settlement, and feeling like she can never, quote unquote, live up to the standards set by Peggy. So that's really all I have to say about that. So we go over to Fatima getting home to her apartment. Zach is literally right outside of Danny's door, and she gets a phone call from him. And he's like, "Say, hey, where you been at? I wanted to talk to you before I go in there. Oh, I had to work late." So he wanted to see her before he went to go see Karen. And Fatima's like, "No, I think it's best if we just go over there and get it over with." And Zach is just like begging and pleading, like, "Look, please don't be mad. Like, I just need to do this in order to get it over with." Because of the fact that she just keeps blowing me up. And it's like, wait, I thought you blocked her number. I did, but then she's been calling for like, her work phone number and everything. And then of course, calling from getting Danny to call to then, answer the phone and then have him on the line. Now, in unknown caller, we know that Zach unblocked the phone number, but Karen was still able to get through because it's like, "Hey, Zach, this is my 5th message and I'm glad to see you unblocked me." Zach should have kept her ass blocked. So he wasn't really lying. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not holding this against Zach because of the fact that episode 15 just really didn't make a lot of sense. So, basically Fatima is upset, but she wants Zach to come back as soon as he can to tell her everything that went on. It's 7:08. Zach is late. And, you can tell Karen's a little tipsy, a little high. And it's like, you know what? We had our problems, but he was always there because Danny's like, you know what? Hey, she vouched for Zach. Like, look, Zach, if there's one thing, if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So just like with the Andy Gary stuff, Danny's saying like, look, don't just remember all the good times. And I don't feel like she was talking down about Zach. I give Danny, aside from the Preston stuff, I feel like Danny was the hidden gem in this episode for the truth bomb she was dropping. Don't forget all the bad stuff, like the cheating, the fights, the arguments, and all this stuff. Don't block that out just thinking about the good. The same thing Miss Irene was telling Andy about Gary's trifling ass. So from there, Danny gets up to go to another room as soon as Zach comes in. It's like, "Oh, hey, you looking all right? What's going on, Zach? Hey, Danny, thanks for letting us come over here." So I got a huge paragraph written here because this is a back and forth. But I will say this much. I'm going to hold off on this because let me just skip over to the hotel. I don't want to piss people off, but let me just get the Andi Robin shit out the way because then the only other things to talk about is the Karen scene with Zach and then the scene with Zach outside of Fatima's door, okay? Just hold tight. Don't dislike the video. So we go over to the hotel room. Andi and Robin walk in. It's like, you know what? I don't think I should be here. I have a fiance and I love him. And, Robin's all, just be sure about what you want. And this is the part that got me again. Continuity is shit. "Well, I'll see you at work tomorrow." "No, I'm heading back to London tomorrow." "Wait, I thought you had a few more days." "Well, no, some meetings got, pushed around and, then I'm leaving." In episode 15, Robin walked right into Andy's office to say, "Hey, I leave tomorrow. Is there any way that I can have dinner with you tonight?" "No, I don't think that's a good idea." Now, all of a sudden, that conversation did not happen. And as a result, yeah, I'm actually leaving tomorrow instead of a few days. So, after that, Robin just once again confirms, look, we'll be the only 2 people to know about this. And Annie's like, you know what? I'm going to go. Hey, it's okay. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And he sees her out. And then all of a sudden, wait, no, we'll be the only 2 people who know about this. Sex. That's literally it. I don't have anything else to say about this bullshit. We know what happens. Now, At the end of the episode, yeah, I'm going to talk about this first. Zach is standing outside of Fatima's door. He gets a phone call. He picks up and he overhears a portion of the phone call where it looks like Fatima's dogging him. You know, I tell him all this stuff just to gas him up with his broke ass, and the episode cuts off. People are like, how the hell did this happen? Now, I posted about this. I worked in a call center 3 years. This is definitely possible. Also, if you've ever called to like pay a bill or something like that, if you call like a business like Walmart, GameStop, a car company, cable bill, whatever, more often than not, you're going to hear the same thing when you're actually transferred over to somebody. This call will be recorded and monitored for quality assurance purposes. Now, working in a space like the law firm, Andi even said, girl, be careful what you say on these work phones because everything's recorded around here. I wouldn't trust it. Hayden listened in on the phone call, meaning that, again, this is a work phone, so Fatima's phone call obviously was recorded. Hayden got access to the recording, so he has that quote-unquote fake phone call. Now, how did he get Zach's phone number? Now, in my post about this, I said one of the reasons why is, well, Fatima's call history is number one, but then somebody also brought up, well, remember Zach was part of Chain Breakers and Hayden is involved with the group, so it's possible he got the cell number there. Absolutely true. Either Hayden got the phone number from Zach's Chain Breaker time with the Chain Breakers, or Fatima's phone call history on the work phone. And then third, he easily just sent the message to Zach that way. He probably, tweaked it in order to have a specific portion of that conversation in Zach's ear the moment he picked up the phone. Now, some people also pointed out, wait a minute, this seems weird. Isn't it a bit too perfect timing to Zach getting the phone call right before he got to Fatima's front door? Is Hayden spying on Zach? I wouldn't put him past him to do something like that. But then again, either this is Hayden specifically waiting for this moment, or Tyler Perry just throwing in there as a cliffhanger. Because trust me, the Andi Robin shit was not a strong cliffhanger. Now, to get back to the conversation, and honestly, this wasn't just for the sake of people watching to the end, but I just wanted to avoid this scene. Going back to Danny's apartment, we got Zach, who just sat down across from Karen. Karen just tries to do small talk. How are you? And Zach is like, look, Karen, what do you want? What's up? What do you want? Why am I here? Look me in the eyes. And he's like, look, I will always love you, but we can't be together no more, Karen. That ain't helping me. Tell me you don't love me anymore so that I can move on. So you can let go of this hold you have on me. And then Zach's like, look, I'm moving on. It's hard, but it gets easier. Basically, every day that I'm not seeing you, that I'm not thinking about you, it gets easier day by day. The thing is, Zach is admitting that he isn't fully over Karen, but time is what heals the wounds. Karen, she either expects to just to have this thing over Zach just gone from her life so she can move on with Aaron, but they're both kind of right. Karen saying that it was 3 years, and Zach saying, look, it's a day-by-day process for me. And if they both recognize that, then they will be okay. Well, mainly Karen, because Zach, he's already, stepping. So from there, this heifer got the nerve to say, are you with Fatima? And then he's like, look, you need to just stop that, because she goes on to say, look, I see you're using her in order to get over me. And he just squashes that. It's like, oh yeah, like you're using Preacher Man to get over me. So he goes on, and like the photo I put out of the sneak peek, where Zach has his arms, right in front of his, chest, and, Karen has her arm crossed, looks her dead in the eye and says exactly, I don't love you no more. I don't want to be with you no more. I don't want to see you anymore. Basically, dear Karen, I hate your stinking guts. You make me sick. Hate Zach. I don't know. It's like literally that's exactly what he did in order to get away from her. he literally just tells her, that's like, get over it, and then leaves. And I was like, thank you. Look, I kind of glazed over it. Like I said, I will do a full video about this scene, every single word. But, you know, he says, like, he just says it in so many ways. Like, that's not how you're supposed to say it. You're not saying it the way I want you to. You're saying you don't love me anymore. It's like, and then he says, look, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm not telling you what you need to hear. It's been 3 years. I can't say that I don't love you, but we can't be together. And it's just like, you know, a mama, I think I said this on my live stream last night. It's just like, you know, when you act up and your mom is trying to get you to apologize, like, I'm sorry. Say it like you mean it. I'm sorry. You better say it. So I'm sorry. Say it again like that one more time. See what happened. I'm sorry. That's literally what Karen was doing to Zach, and I could not stand it. It was just so freaking annoying. But I gotta give Zach props because he was speaking his truth. I want to be honest. Truth be told, when he called Fatima and he could tell how upset she was, I would have just left right there. Look, I'm standing right outside Danny's spot, but I will look. Let's switch over to video phone so you can see for a fact I'm standing outside this door, but I'm walking to my car. Fatima, I'm walking to the car. And see, I'm cranking. Look, baby, stay on the phone with me. I'm actually going to have you as my driving companion. You can see I'm on my way home back to you right now. Because, no, this shit is, no, it ain't going to work. So, he leaves. After he leaves, because he calls her out, oh, there goes the bitch right there. See, that's what you want. See, you just wanted... Basically, Zach isn't playing his position. For 3 years, they've had this back and forth. They probably had people on the side to get over the other when they broke up and everything. But Zach is like, I'm not in this toxic cycle anymore. I'm trying to be healed, and you still want me wounded. And that ain't going to that's not how it's going to work. Just because you haven't healed yet doesn't mean I have to be unhappy. So that's it. So Danny comes out when Zach leaves. And Danny's like, and she says this in the sweetest way possible. Because Karen's like, he didn't say it. Honey, he did say it. He did. And then Karen's like, he lied. He lied. And she hugs her. And it's like, look, if you're using Aaron to get over Zach, think about it. And it's like, no, I'm not. Karen, even if it's just a little bit, even if you think just for a second that you are using Aaron to get over Zach, I think that's in reference to, like, girl, like, don't accept that proposal. Think about it. Don't be with that man if you're just using him as a rebound, knee-jerk reaction. So from there, she's like, I have to go take care of something. I'm thinking, Lord, please don't mean going after Zach. But in the preview, we know she's going to be with Aaron. So it's funny because it's like, just thank you for everything. It's like, that's what friends are for. And you're going to pay me back for that weed, right? And then Karen's like, that's what friends are for. And she leaves. And then Danny's like, you know, Lord, this is too much. So even though this was frustrating as hell, I have to admit, this episode has some great character moments, specifically from Sabrina actually being mature enough to have a conversation with Calvin, even though I saw the preview for next week and we know she's going to call Danny and that might influence her things. But I will say for this particular episode, I think Sabrina was good. I think Danny was a standout, minus the whole Preston crap. Zach was phenomenal. And then the Fatima phone call was crazy. But yeah, that's really all I got. So I think this is a solid 7 out of 10. I can understand people being frustrated. And truth be told, Tyler Perry was actually online last night reading through tweets because somebody sent me his tweet. If you can give me one moment, I can pull it up because this kind of confirms that Tyler Perry, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to see where people are in regards to their thoughts on the show and probably tweaking things around because he knows people are mad. And I mean, Tyler Perry knew what this episode was going to be. And as a result, he just wanted to see how people react to, you know, Zach and Fatima having another obstacle to go through. So Tyler actually tweeted this in the middle of the episode. And I'm not trying to stall, but my phone is literally moving so slow right now. But Tyler went on to say, I'm watching Sistas and I love reading y'all's comments. Hilarious. But y'all don't trust none of these men. Lord. Hashtag Sistas on BET. And then all the responses to the tweet like, are you hiring? Are you hiring? Now, I love this because I hope this shows Tyler Perry. Yeah, people don't always drag your shows. Even though Tyler Perry has been trending for 2 days due to the fact that There's a Netflix movie coming out. What's it called? Like Don't Fall or something like that. I know it has like Leonardo DiCaprio and a few other big names in it, and Tyler's in there, and people saw the promo and it had like a bunch of bad wigs, so that's why Tyler was trending. But yeah, Sistas is a phenomenon online, like when it comes to conversations. So who knows what happens next aside from Tyler and the cast. But I will say this episode, like I said at the beginning, it just really showed how boring the rest of the cast are in regards to their storylines. How many times are we going to have Sabrina and Calvin have these mature conversations, but then Sabrina's going to backslide to her indecisiveness and then make decisions based on how how her friends feel about Calvin. Andi just using other men as a way to exert her feelings and anguish over Gary, then get back together for him for like the 70th time. Danny and the wishy-washiness towards Preston. And then of course the only story with development. Look, I know it pisses people off that Fatima and Zach are seemingly going to split for now based off of next week's preview. But at least these two are shaking up the formula. Zach isn't playing the role Karen's used to him playing, and Fatima isn't taking Zach's shit. And I love it because there's actually story going on with these two. Hence why they're getting a spinoff. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know this video or review was as long as the episode, but damn it, I had a lot to say. And yeah, let me know if you're looking forward to the discussion points I'm doing. Like I said, I probably won't do it today because I have a lot of other videos to review, but I will be doing a separate video solely on the Zach and Karen conversation. I will have all the dialogue written down. I will go through it and basically go into it even deeper than I did in this video. Ooh, out of breath. So like and subscribe. Thanks as always for the support. And if you want to donate, Cash App or PayPal me. If not, just watching the video helps. So keep it up. Thanks. And I'll talk to you soon.